Japanese ice cream. Whether you're crunching into a Chocomonaka Jumbo, scooping up a matcha super cup, or sucking off a succulent sack of Coolish, there's an ice cream for you. Except, none of these are ice cream. Not legally, anyway. In Japan, ice cream is a legal term, and most of what's in this freezer does not qualify. What does? Well, that's up to the law. Japanese law splits frozen dairy products into 4 tiers based on the amount of milk solids. Milk solids are what remain after you take all of the water out of milk, and there are 2 types. 1. Milk fat, which gives ice cream its richness, that melt-in-your-mouth texture. And 2. Non-fat milk solids, things like whey and lactose, which, in addition to adding some flavor, is what keeps the texture smooth instead of icy. Manufacturers set these quantities using various milk products: cream for fat, skim milk powder for non-fat solids, and whole milk for a bit of both. So here are the 4 tiers. At the top is real, legitimate, legal ice cream, which must contain at least 15% total milk solids, at least 8 of which has to be milk fat. Next up is ice milk. It must contain at least 10% total milk solids, of which at least 3% must be milk fat. Further down, lacto ice, which must contain at least 3% total milk solids with no milk fat requirement. Anything below that is classified as hyoka, which does not even try to be ice cream, even aesthetically, so I will not be including it in my analysis for this video. What I have analyzed are 110 Japanese frozen dairy products in the ice cream, ice milk, and lacto ice tiers. These are the types of things you're most likely to see in a convenience store or a supermarket, anywhere in the country, at any time. Let's look at the milk fat percentage in all of these. Each bar shows how many products land at that amount, so more than 40 of them have no milk fat at all. There are 2 more spikes at 3 and 8%. Why? Well, 0, 3, and 8% are the exact minimums for lacto ice, ice milk, and ice cream respectively. So for the most part, the Japanese ice cream industry formulates their products to meet, but not exceed, these legal floors. For milk fat, anyway. If we look at the amount of non-fat milk solids in these products, it's a different picture. While nearly every lacto ice product has 0% milk fat, here, non-fat milk solids range from 3 to 8%. And remember, 3% is the minimum. All in all, 85% of these products have more non-fat solids than legally required, but only half that, 43%, have more milk fat than legally required. Which makes sense, economically. Milk fat is much more expensive, so it becomes the limiting factor. In other words, it's all about the fat. Let's narrow our focus and only look at plain or vanilla products now, for a consistent comparison. I'm plotting the amount of milk fat in each of these products. For example, Mo sits at 8%. Super Cup has 0. Since both of these are vanilla cups, it's a reasonable guess that Super Cup, the one with no milk fat, also has fewer calories. Let's see. Super Cup, 187 calories per 100 milliliters. Mo, 158? That's backwards. Super Cup, the one with 0 milk fat, has more calories. Why? The culprit is vegetable oil, specifically a blend of palm, coconut, and canola oil that comes decently close to mimicking the properties of milk fat. Now I've added fat from vegetable oil in orange. By the way, all ice cream products contain 0 vegetable oil. Legally, ice cream cannot have any. Super Cup, at 13% fat, actually has more total fat than Mo does, which explains why it has more calories. And on the whole, there really is no relationship between tier and total fat. Where there is a relationship is price. Vegetable oil is a lot cheaper than milk fat. So if we plot price per 100 milliliters against milk fat percent, there's a clear trend. more milk fat, higher price. The one all the way on the right that's much more expensive than everything else, even other ice cream with similar milk fat content, that's Haagen-Dazs, whose price could be indicative of quality, or perhaps name recognition and social signaling. Whatever the case, Haagen-Dazs, whose products are almost all ice cream, dominates the sales charts in Japan, although it's not quite a fair comparison because it's comparing all Haagen-Dazs sales, single-serve cups, tubs, bars, to individual product lines from other manufacturers. In second place is Super Cup, which is lacto ice, followed by Jumbo Monaka, which is ice milk. So the top 3 are different tiers, and all of the tiers are well represented in the top 12. You might think that one of them would have won out. Maybe ice cream because it's the most real and contains zero vegetable oil, or maybe lacto ice because it's cheap. But manufacturers have become adept at communicating, manipulating, and perhaps even obfuscating milk fat to drive sales in every tier. That's the game.
Ready? Go!
While Haagen-Dazs focuses on ice cream, most of the other major manufacturers dabble in all of the tiers. Because every tier is a different customer. Somebody wants a cheap tub for the kids at home. Somebody else is stocking their freezer for a date and wants to be seen as classy and refined. And somebody else just wants to be refreshed after a long day at work. Restriction to one tier means writing off everyone shopping for the others. So the big manufacturers offer products in every tier and let you do the choosing. But playing the whole field only works if they can steer people to the correct products. And that starts with the label. Quick, guess the tier of this. Now, I would have guessed lacto ice, maybe ice milk, but not ice cream. Its cutesy, bubbly logo and soft serve swirl just do not give that vibe. But legally, it is ice cream. Perhaps picking up on this disconnect between what it signaled and what it was, in 2015, Mo changed its label to this. A regal serif font and a thick, meaty scoop of what clearly looks like ice cream. Following this, sales of Mo jumped by about 60%. The contents remained the same, but the label now reflected what was actually inside. For Mo Vanilla, anyway. So what about Mo Matcha? That's also gotta be ice cream, right? Wrong, it's ice milk. Mo Strawberry? Also ice milk. Mo Prime, which sounds like it should be superior to regular Mo? Yup, ice milk. How about some other product lines? Pinot Vanilla is ice cream. Pinot Pistachio drops to ice milk. Smile Plus Vanilla is ice milk. Smile Plus Chocolate drops to lacto ice. This is the dark side of the labeling coin, where manufacturers exploit your brand perceptions and preconceived notions of what's what. Okay, maybe that's too cynical, because put another way, it's actually beneficial for both you and the manufacturer. Matcha is expensive, but Mo Matcha and Mo Vanilla are both 180 yen. Something has to give to hold that price, and what gives is the tier. You get a premium flavor for the same money, they keep their profit margin. Win-win. Now what happens when input costs rise and manufacturers don't want to just raise the price? One option is reducing the volume, shrinkflation, and it seems pretty common in everything nowadays, and the ice cream aisle is no different. Haagen-Dazs went from 120 milliliters down to 110 in 2014, and Mo from 150 down to 140 in 2015, accompanying its label change. Sneaky. The other option though, which is unique to the Japanese frozen dairy industry, is down-tiering, lowering a product's tier by replacing some of its milk fat with vegetable oil. For example, Ajiwai Soft quietly went from ice milk to lacto ice. If you never looked at the label, you may never have noticed. In 2021, manufacturer Lotte relaunched Yukimi Daifuku Rich Chocolate with a new, richer formula, even prominently displaying richness up on the label. What's not prominently displayed though is its tier labeling. It dropped from ice milk to lacto ice. And in 2024, Ice Manju got hit with the double whammy. It dropped from ice cream to ice milk, and shrank by 5 milliliters. So that's the game. The product you're getting might be a lower tier than what you thought, but you're getting something in return, like a premium flavor or a consistent price despite the march of inflation. Which raises the question, should I even be calling this a tier list? I mean, tier doesn't appear anywhere in the law books. I just called it a tier list because I'm extremely internet-brained. But tiers imply hierarchy, and this isn't a hierarchy. It's a trade-off system. Lacto Ice trades milk fat for value and convenience. The cheapest products in the freezer aisle are all Lacto Ice, and products like Poppyco and Coolish are handheld and portable for on-the-go eating. Moving on to ice milk, remember that chart of plain vanilla products? There were 7 ice creams, 6 Lacto Ices, but only 1 ice milk. That's because it's usually not plain. It trades milk fat for format and variety. Wafer shells, soft rice cakes, sweet beans, cones, mix-ins, fancy flavors, they all belong to this tier. Which leaves ice cream. Ice cream trades absolutely nothing, going all in on milk fat. It might be expensive, it might not have bells and whistles, but it's ice cream in its most pure and legal form. So go back to that freezer. Not all of what's in there is ice cream, but all of it found something to be.